For today's video, we're doing questions and answers. So everyone that asks questions in my round 10 review video in the comment section, I'll do my best to answer those questions today. So should be good. And I haven't really skimmed over the questions too much. So see how we go. And we have about 70 odd questions. So see how we go with that. So first question is from ST. I think that's Big Steve. I see him on Twitter a bit. We demand a shot before every vid, Jords. What I will say is, firstly, I think you'll see, I think round 14 we're in trouble, so maybe that will happen. And then I shouldn't really be turning to alcohol at rank 200. That might make people feel a bit bad, but it's fine. Just thought that our top 10 hopes were gone when Guthrie's AC joint got hurt. Anyway, next question. So these, I think that's everything else is Supercoach now. So Terry K, Ridley or Whitfield? The answer is, for me, Whitfield. If Ridley benefits your buys a bit more, probably Ridley. If Whitfield benefits your buys more, then Whitfield. All else equal, I like Whitfield's upside, and Whitfield's fixture is a bit of a piss take from here on out. Ridley probably goes low hundreds for the rest of the year, I'm guessing. I think given the prominence of Redmond, Hines getting a bit more of the ball, Heppel's, there's a lot of points to go down back. So he's lost that monopoly on kickouts that he had, and still a fine pick, I think. I like Whitfield. Whitfield will be a bit more of a pod as well, which doesn't really mean anything, but I like Whitfield. And both durability isn't super great. I mean, Ridley's probably a little bit better, but Ridley's had a few injuries over his career. Whitfield's like all contact injuries, but I say Lockie Whitfield. Billy Brannigan, I think that's the word, the name. Too late to get Aaron Hall? I don't think so. I think he's still reasonably cheap. If you go from after his buy up sub after 500, I still think he's worth it. I think the risk was mitigated a bit if you got him at 420 or 450. But he's probably, look, he hasn't really had a bad game. He's played 4 or 5 games in defense now, and he's been really, really good in all those games. So plenty of kickouts. His dream team is absolutely nuts. He's got, I think, 3 or 4 of his scores are 120 to 150 scores in dream team, but it's a little bit down in Supercoach. But yeah, he's a really good ball user. They need him down. He will win their best and fairest, I think, if he plays out the year in that position. So I think it's fine. It is a bit of an injury risk, I guess, but I think it's okay. He's sort of a negative pod if you don't have him at this stage. But again, please be aware, if you have lots of injury-prone players, probably wouldn't be going whole. Just because of his durability is not the greatest. So I think he's worth the risk, though. The upside, even at 500k, the upside's still good. White Shadow, that's burning a little bit. Yeah, I don't tolerate alcohol very well. Blake Leslat, George, thoughts on downgrading Butts to Madden and then upgrading Atkins for Oliver or Lyons? Now, I think DR's got a question somewhere. I'm not sure if it's related, but I was watching DR's video, and for Madden's job security, I would defer to DR. So I think he'll have that info in the stock market video. Fantastic video, unbelievable content and effort goes into that. Just unbelievable vid. But with Madden, if Madden I see as a risk, I can't do it because I am in trouble for the last buy, and I need definite players playing in that buy. But if Madden gets you a Bont or an Oliver or Lyons, I guess, I think Neil's probably going to hurt Lyons a touch, so maybe not getting a whole lot of value with Lyons anymore, but still should be fine. It's still 115 plus, I think. 115 to 120, whereas now it's probably 120 to 125 without Neil. So if Madden gets you a McRae, Oliver, Bont, or Lyons, I guess, I think it's worth a risk because those players are so unbelievably good, and you just have to have them. I'm not going to get Lyons, probably won't get Bont, but this is just painful. So I think it's worth the risk, but at the same time, just be prepared for a dead rookie potentially. But yeah, on his job security, I think it's performance based. I'm not sure. I don't like his job security. But if it gets you a McRae, I think it's worth it. If it gets you Oliver, I think it's worth it. Luke Ferrari, at least you managed to captain Clary. Very similar week to yours. Lost 200 ranks. Yeah, so I'm pretty lucky to have captain Clary. That's good. Billy Brannigan again. Is it worth getting rid of Flynn and Jordan to afford Bont? Yes. Get it done. Because Bont's probably going up this week as well, and Flynn will go up as well. So maybe Bont goes up 10, 20k, and Flynn goes up 20 to 30k. Maybe 40k, but given Flynn's playing a lot forward, it's hard to see. Blake Lessler. George, thoughts on bringing in Tom Mitchell? Plays Gold Coast and Swans the next 2 weeks. You know, Tom Mitchell is a very confusing pick because, look, he's had a lack of preseason. Does the shoulder bother him every now and then? I'm not sure. I think he seems to be over that broken leg now. Generally takes 2 years to get over. I'm not sure on Mitchell. I don't love the pick because from his peak years, his CBAs are down and his time on ground's down. So it makes me think that he's probably a 105 to 110 player now. Could be lower, but I think it's a safe probably floor of 105 for Tom Mitchell. But it's just very confusing how he has a few off games and then he looks really, really good. So, yeah, I wouldn't pick... I don't know. At 550, I think he's reasonable price, I guess. So it's not too bad, but I'd rather... I guess it's hard to get an extra 100k. I think at his price, he's probably a reasonable option. So I think it's okay if you want. I don't know. Not sure. Again, and also Hawthorn are significantly worse than they used to be. Blake Glass, again, thoughts on Libba. I think I don't really want to mess around with durability in the midfield because, look, he's played every game so far. He looks great, leading contested ball and clearances by a mile, I think. So, nah, I don't think so. Look, didn't he go 110 last year because he scored like 200 in the last round? I think it's the only thing is durability. Now, look, there's plenty of points for him up for grabs now that no Bont or McRae. I think you can. I think what is he 550? I'd rather probably Tom Mitchell, even though Libba's ceiling's probably a bit higher at the moment. Yeah, it's just hard because Libba hasn't really set the world on fire this year in terms of Supercoach scoring, but he's played very well this year. I would pass on Libba because I don't think he hurts you if you don't have him. I think like even Parrish at the same price is maybe Parrish a bit more, probably a bit slightly safer, the right word. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't really want to touch players that have a long history of missing a lot of games in the midfield. But he could play every game, played every game last year, so that's my main issue with Libba. Not the worst pick, but not for me. Gallows. I also brought in Guthrie. I know, super disappointing. AC joints can be annoying too. The player can often play, but sometimes can't go anywhere near 100% at the contest and tackles effectively until the shoulder fully heals. So hoping we don't face a similar fate as Houston owners currently. Yeah, where his output's crippling. At least he gets a week off. So that makes me think maybe it's just better if Guthrie has the week off. I guess the buys, it's at a great time, but it's just so, you pay 610, 620, and then Bont and Lions go berserk, and then your player gets injured. It's just... I hate the buys. If only he had a different buy, would have gone Bont. But yeah, I wouldn't be trading Guthrie. I would obviously be holding, but if he shows signs of that AC joint getting in the way in round 13, give him round 12 if he plays. So give him round 11, see how he goes round 13, and then we'll make a decision, because if that AC joint's going to hinder him, I can't have that much money tied up. But fingers crossed. I know, I can't remember, there's been some players in the past that are fine with AC joint injury, just it could be like a really short-term thing. He had an interview after the game and said he felt fine, but see how he goes. But he was holding, like, he wasn't really lifting his shoulder. Like, you could tell he was... he was a little bit uncomfortable with that shoulder, but we'll see how we go. John O'Carroll. G'day, George. What do you think we do with Scott? What's our best downgrade option for this week, and who are the best captain choices? So we go over this in the podcast. Scott has to go. If he doesn't play this week, you can hold him and then get rid of him next week, but 90 break even, you want to save money. He's probably going to drop 20k, so get rid of Scott. Best downgrade is Cody Waitman, and the best captain choices is, for me, it's McRae or Gawn into Grundy. So yeah, Kaz Lawler, the old Dutch courage. I'm not sure what that means, Kaz. Kaz is in our Discord, but he has a YouTube channel. He does Supercoach videos now, so big Kaz Lawler, you can sub to him. Simpler Cricket, thoughts on going Cozzy to Stewart and then flipping May to any defender other than Mills in the buys? Yes. Stewart's ceiling is hurt a bit because if you look at the past few rounds, Henderson and Tui are scoring a lot of points, and I think they're cutting into Stewart. So, Stewart went on that hot streak of 120 for a few weeks with that 150 scoring him. But yeah, so I think there's an ambulance near the house. Stewart's ceiling, I almost want to fade Stewart, to be honest, because now that Henderson and... I would rather give Stewart another week and go to another defender like Whitfield over Stewart. Just because I'm concerned that Henderson and Tui take points for the rest of the year. That's pretty much it. Stewart's still a fine pick, but he's averaging 90 the past 5 with those two down back. I think Tui hasn't been back the full time there, but still, I'm not certain he goes 100 plus. He probably should, but he could be one where he continues to average low 90s given the current climate of that defense. And I don't really want to pay 527k for that this week, especially he's got like a 130 break even, I think. So I would wait a week on Stewart. Still think he's perfectly fine upgrade option. Should go 100 plus, but it's just my observation of other players taking points. And then flipping May into someone in the last buy makes perfect sense if you're in that position. Would you go late on Lockie Jones or go to Waitman? Nah, I wouldn't go late on Lockie Jones. I know his buy is nice, but I think Waitman probably makes a bit more money. Extra year in the system. Both reasonable job security. I'm not exactly sure on Lockie Jones. I think Waitman will play for at least a month, I think, because I know Vandermeer is indefinite, I think, and McLean is probably going to come through the VFL. So there's no way you drop Waitman based on how he's played. It'd be pretty psycho. So I think he's bought himself some time. So I like Waitman a bit better. Lockie Jones isn't going to make... Now that he has a 50 in his third game, his cash has seriously stalled. He's not going to make significant cash. It's not worth going Lockie Jones anymore, I don't think. Darcy K might be the only point a lot of us can get Bont or Lions. Are they still worth getting at their prices, especially compared to Still this week? Okay, no to Lions right now, but Bont, yes, absolutely. But you got to be careful, because are you leaving an extra rookie on the field for the next few weeks because you're getting Bont? Are you going to be able to finish a proper team because you're getting Bont? So that's what you got to be careful of. If you're sitting comfortable getting a final team and you can grab Bont, without a doubt, you do it. Otherwise, Still is a fine option. I reckon Bont goes 130 for the rest of the year, and I reckon Still goes 115. I think Still's fixture opens up, I think, so it's probably a big reason why. So it's probably worth going Bont, but yeah, it wouldn't. Here's the thing: Bont is going to score 200 against the Crows. That's the issue. We don't have a matchup for Bont. That happens like round 15 or something, or round 16, something like that. So I think you want Bont. So what are we doing with James Jordan? Hold for a week if you want. If he kills his cash gen, then you trade. Otherwise, you can hold him through the buys. I think he's okay to hold this week, even though he plays the Dogs. But his break-even's still 70, so that's fine. Brody Compton scored a very good 24-38 this week. Very good. Gostafer. Given your Valiant attempt at a very high position is over, thank you. What lessons from this season will you be taking into next season? Who are the must-start locked-in players if you had to pick right now? Okay, we'll start off. That's a great question. My Valiant attempt at a high position is over. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I bit off more than I could chew. I did fundamentally wrong trades, and I deserve where I am. I still feel salty about Guthrie and Brayshaw though, but other than that, I deserve it for the most part. So most locked in plays next year. It's too early to say. I think Lloyd straight up will be a better price, and you just grab him and you get 22 games of probably 105 again. Probably still not that old. Forward line, we don't know. It's always hard to nail the value forwards, but I'd love to try and do that next year. But it's just so hard. It might be better going safe. We might get Josh Kelly and Nat Fyfe in the forward line, so that'll be interesting. Worry about the forward line after. In terms of the midfield, Lockie Neal, I think, will be one of the first picked. He'll be cheaper, you would think. Oliver, Bont, McRae are just unbelievable. They've done this for 3-4 years, maybe 5. I don't know. I think 3 or 4 years they've been 115 plus roughly. I think Oliver's had a few 110 years, but they are very pretty easy picks, I think. And then Walsh as well. So that's probably the starting 5. Maybe we have to fade one because they're so expensive, but we'll see. And then what lessons have you learnt this year? I think there's a lot of lessons, but I probably haven't learnt more than I did last year. But I think this year just reinforces stuff that, again, I'm a very undisciplined player. For someone with a Supercoach channel, I shouldn't be doing reckless things like getting Bose and CJ in so early. CJ I can understand because his break-even was like negative 50. But Bose was so stupid because I was well aware of the risk. Like I do risk checks on my players, but sometimes you're biased because you want things to work. That gets in the way. So I think number one lesson, this isn't a lesson, but this is just something that I didn't give enough respect to, was respect proven premiums a bit more. So, players that have done it for 1 or 2 years beforehand, just hold them. So even though trading Daniel, I still can defend that because he's had a role change. It just happens to be his role change, and Dog's injuries have meant that he's back to a friendly role. Whereas at times, he couldn't have a friendly role when he was used a bit more up forward. But so I guess that's okay, even though he's come good. So 1, respect proven premiums more. 2, hold your nerve on missed rookies. Especially I panicked. I brought in Chapman for 200k. I knew well and truly, I spoke to AFL Draft Expert about this. I knew that he was a 65 roughly average player. Same with Lockie Jones. Jones is probably going to be 65. So probably don't pay 210k for a 65 average player, even though the break-even's good. So, hold capable rookies. So the rookies have killed me. So I think Bergman was a sub-risk, and then I was vulnerable down back. I had 2 donuts on the bench, so I kind of had to trade Bergman. So I shot myself in the foot there. But trading Crosby early when he was clearly capable of a big game, because we saw it in the Marsh, very stupid. And then trading Jordan, who looked really good and was mature age and a high pick, just had a bad game. So should not have traded that, really bad. So hold capable rookies, especially the ones that have had a few years in the system. So pay more respect to proven premiums, and just evaluate rookies a bit. Think a bit more logically with rookies rather than know that the nature of rookies are up and down. But probably those 2. And also don't start a loophole if we get a good if we get a good R3. So because Comben is now dead at he's going to be F6 F8 for the whole year, and that's been a disaster. But I thought it'd end up and we'd get Marshall and Swing, but it just hasn't worked out that way. Brody Carpenter, thoughts on Tom Green? Last 4, something like 110, 110, 70, 120. Seems to go forward a bit. Kick a few as well. Interesting. What is he? I'll have a quick look. For his price, I think you might as well go Chera or Bailey Smith though. 440. Might as well pay up for like a better player, I think. And with Tom Green, look, he was a bad starting pick, and we all knew that because of his coach. And he got dropped, and we knew that he didn't deserve to get dropped, but he did get dropped. But it's just unfortunate the way it's played out. But right now, 440k. That's the thing. Green could be anything, so I probably wouldn't. Just because I'm not sure. Again, he's not pure mid. He's mid and forward as well. So he's definitely capable. It's just that I'm not certain. I'd rather pick 440's a lot. If he was in the 300s, yeah, but 440, I think you're better off with Bailey Smith, for 40k less, bit safer, if that makes sense. So, but I really like Green. It's just I'm uncertain because there's a really small sample size, and I don't know what if Leon wants to shove him forward for large periods. So that's the issue for me. But yeah, could work, but 440 is a lot. Jerome Andres, Merritt or Jelly. Current midfielders McRae, Steele, Brayshaw, Mitchell, Walsh, Oliver. Very nice midfield. I have the same except for no Mitchell. Zero or Jelly. Merritt by a mile. Do I go Stewart or Whitfield? Stewart, Whitfield, or Mitchell, or go Ridley, which is worse for the buys? Go Whitfield. Whitfield. I have 400k. Should I go Atkins to Lyons and Scott to Waitman? Yes. Paul Sheehan. George, you need to separate pre-convicted thoughts about Zorko. He might be a flog, but he's hurting it on Supercoach. Supercoach doesn't care about off-field issues. That's true. I mean, Antonio Brown and what's his name, Tyreek Hill have Super Bowl championships, and they've done some stuff that they would no way last in the AFL if they got away with some of the stuff that they did off the field. So yeah, I guess you're right, but yeah, I don't know. Just how I play. It's stupid. I guess it was compounded by the fact that Zorko had his age and durability in 2020. Jason Gaffey. Waitman or Madden? Waitman. Who should I captain this week? I'm going McRae into Grundy. I think Gawn into Grundy's fine. Or you could even vice captain Grundy, because I think Grundy's probably the best option. And then your captain could be, not really sure, like a Merritt or Steele or something, but you might as well just go Gawn or McRae or Bont or Oliver. All of them are completely fine. I don't know, Bont. I think I'll go McRae though. McRae into Grundy. Supercoach Oils. What do you think of James Madden? Should I downgrade Jack Bowes? What do you have Bowes still? Damn. Injured. Or James Madden because he's injured to a primo. So go down to James Madden or go up to a primo. I wouldn't want James Madden locked on your field, especially if you have like Highmore and Murphy on your bench or something, or Mansell. I would go up. Go up. Go up to Whitfield if you can. The Dankfish scored 2-2-5-5 with Brayshaw and Bowes on the bench taking line score even though I had Oliver. Yeah, sucks. A few people did that. Corey Blackledge. Should I get a midfielder? Have any midfielder choice above Steele, Oliver? Okay, besides Steele, Oliver, Walsh, and Guthrie, I might want a value pick or a pod. Or you could be going Cody Waitman. You can get any midfielder you want. Marcus Bontempelli or Jake McRae. Probably Jake McRae because he's a bit cheaper. But you can go to Waitman if you need to protect your team for upgrades. Like cash gen later on. Angus Frey wasn't looking but listened and heard did someone say KFC when you're talking about CJ. It was your TV, that's okay. Keep it up, thank you. Zach French. Go Bont or Lions. Bont easily. VC Bont, Clary or McRae. I'm going to say McRae, but it's luck. Nick, bring in Took Miller. Am I crazy? No. It's just one where I've just ignored, and I don't know, it's because he's like not Victorian or like plays for Gold Coast. And he's like tagged on and off, but I don't think he'll do that anymore. You could. He looks a reasonable option. I'm not going to say no. He's reasonable. He's a reasonable pick. I think, didn't he have a few bad games like last year? I can't remember. He had like one game where he scored 50 or something. I can't remember. Yeah, Took Miller's fine, I think. I wouldn't do it just because I just not really sure. I haven't really looked at him enough, to be honest, but the scoring is there. The role is there. Thoughts on Blake Hardwick? I haven't looked at Blake Hardwick, to be honest. Coming off a big score, probably goes high 90s average based on what we've seen. I think it's okay, but I can't really help you much there. Sorry. The rant on Brayshaw's looking down on her was very entertaining. Oh, thanks. Wasn't because I had the shot or anything. It's just like all season I've been waiting for Zorko and Danaher. I mean, Danaher was a fine starting pick, but I didn't think it'd work to this extent. And then Zorko, and I hate Zorko. And Brayshaw was very frustrating. So yeah. Alistair Burrow. I have the money to bring in Ridley or Whitfield. Geordie P. Still cheated on his partner throughout 2020. I don't want to hear that. Andrew Yakos. Dude, you are the most thoughtful player. Some misfortune. Trade your ass out of this. So have you ever heard of drunk trading? It never pans out. Yeah, that's true. Thanks for the kind words, I guess. I think we can trade out of this. We're not in the worst position. It's just that no Bont and probably going to have weak F6 instead of May. So it's like now Guthrie's got issues. So see how we go. But yeah, no drunk trading. No, we won't. Having said that, wait till you see my trade-ins for next week. You guys are going to hate it. I've changed my plans slightly. Dusty for Atkins is still on, but the other one is pretty disgusting. If bloody hell, so you wait, bloody hell. If you're turning to drink at rank 203, I'm going full-blown alcoholic. Yeah, I know. It's just my expectation. I'm going top 10. I realise that I've been in the 300s and I've been top 500 3 years in a row. Like, what's another top 500 going to do for me? Like, it doesn't do anything. I want to finish like top 10, top 50, top 100. Obviously go for first, but it's not happening. It's more just my own standards, I guess. But yeah, I mean, as someone that puts the amount of time and effort into content in this game, you would think that I can not make mistakes to put myself sliding down the ranks, but it's okay. Learn for next year. Andre Perriman, for Q&A video, that's this one. Would you recommend bringing in Clary, Lyons, McRae this week, as they may have high break-evens? I would definitely get in McRae this week if you don't have him. Dion, is Selwood a good shout? Nah, no. Other option is to save a trade this week and do a second downgrade to grab Bontempelli. Yep, do that. Yeah. Grab Bont. Thoughts on Madden? Excuse me. With Madden, I think my advice would be defer to when DR's Supercoach stock market video comes out. I would defer my opinion to James Madden. My view is I'm not certain he holds his spot throughout the buys, and therefore I will not pick him. So, but I have less idea than a DR on Madden, so I would go to him. But that's my view. Okay, be careful, George. Okay, well, whatever. Thanks for looking out, I guess. Sean, hey George, should I do Bose to Jones and Stewart to Waitman with 260k left? I think that's fine. Again, Stewart's probably coming down again, so could look at Whitfield instead. Or his other option, Bose and Jones to Bont and Waitman with 150k left. You could hold Bose if you want. You're probably going to get high 80s, low 90s average from Bose, depending on what Lukosius does. I would grab Bont, just secure Bont now, but make sure you can finish the team. Chera and Cash on Mitchell. Chera's not getting the CBAs. I thought he would. In the preseason, they said Chera will be a starting midfielder. He's not getting the CBAs, and that's without Brayshaw. So I think you go Mitchell. A bit safer, better buy. But if you can do a lot with that cash, then you could do Chera. But yeah, it's a weird one. I think Chera could be anywhere between... I think Chera's like anywhere between 90 and 105, but I'm leaning towards low 90s based on the CBAs. It could actually be a tad lower, but I'm not sure. I think he's shown enough that this year and last year that he'll go 90 plus with a bit of upside. Chris Riley, it's Tats Lotto football, mate. I don't get so worked up over it. Even top 10 only gets $100. You can earn that in a week at work. Hardly with the stress and anguish. It's supposed to be a bit of fun. Good luck anyways. Yeah, I always like perspective and like everything, I think. But yeah, I just wanted to do well. But the channel was doing well, but still part of me is just want to do well at the game more than I want the channel to do well, which is a complete lack of perspective, but I don't know why. It's just that's how I am. Guys, how old are you, brother? I'm 26. Old as hell. Thoughts on Petrarca? Super cheap, scoring decently. If it fits your buy, I think it's fine. 520 is fine for Petrarca. I think you probably get 105 from him based on his disposal this year. He just hasn't cleaned it up for some reason. Maybe he cleans it up at some point, but he just hasn't. So that's why he's gone from 117 to 105. CBAs are there for the most part, and the time on ground is good. It's just disposal, I think. Solid. Hey George, best downgrade option for the week in terms of JS. Doesn't need to be on the bubble necessarily. Really don't want to trade Scott out, but I think he has to go given a high break even. Yep. PS, stop hating on Zorko. Never. But we'll go Cody Waitman. Carter, what do you think? Carter McCall, what do you think about Parrish? I think it's fine. It seems like a bit of a hot patch. But I think he's always had a high points per minute, Parrish. It's just that lack of opportunity in the midfield and time on ground. But I think his time on ground's up. I'm not sure. I think it's a fine pick. I think he can go 110 based on what we've seen. Has upside, but yeah. I trust other players a bit more though. Hey George, thoughts on Fife next week? 560 or Boak 530? No, Boak's had a few issues with injury, soft tissue this year, and that Fife had a scan this week. I know it's conservative, but I don't really want to bring in a midfielder that has potential injury issues going forward. Baz Gaming, should I trade CJ? Absolutely. Get the hell out of that pick as soon as you can. I got to wait a week, but I'm getting out of it next week. Thoughts on Waitman as an option from Davo? What do you think about his scoring ability in JS? I think his JS is fine, at least for a month or so. It's going to be very hard to drop because he was very good. Because I think Wayne Carey was saying, he was really impressed with his leading patterns, the way he takes the footy, the way he works his defenders. Probably a low possession guy, can get a little bit of the ball up the ground, and the Dogs are a great team. There's two issues. Is one that it only takes one bad score to kill his scoring, because he's not really one we can wait 6 weeks. We need like 4 price rises out of him, maybe 5, if you want to use this money after. Given his role, it's going to take one bad game to kill his scoring. Maybe he's big time. Maybe he can score well in the hard games, because his fixture plays in Perth twice and plays Melbourne and Geelong at GM HBA. It doesn't get a whole lot worse than that for anyone, I assume. So, but he did score well against Port away. So I don't know about his scoring. I assume it's probably going to be up and down just because he's a small forward. He's a second-year player. But he looked really good. So I think it's like probably not going to kick 3 and 2 goals every week. I would expect a 60 average from what I've seen from here on out. I'm not sure though, and good JS, but I could be wrong. It's very hard to tell, but I would pencil him in 60, maybe 65, but we'll see. Maybe upside, because he scores, he kicks goals, he's taken a few contested marks as well. Marks on a lead are worth a lot, so maybe it could be 60 to 70, I think. I leaning towards, look, if I had to gun to my head, probably low 60s, but not sure, but around there. Atkins and Gieth for who have 60k in the bank. I have Zeeble, Dusty, Impey, Porter, Rowe. He has a whole bunch of players. So what do you do with Atkins and CJ? Well, if you need to if they're your 2 issues, like I have Scott as well, so I'm going to get rid of Scott and then hold CJ reluctantly. I'd love to get rid of CJ this week. I think it's a 1 up, 1 down. So you go down Atkins to Waitman, and then you go Gieth up to whoever you want, and then you have money for the buys. Gieth to Whitfield, if I was you. I started Tom Green at the start of the year and still have him at this point. Is he a keeper? At this point, probably. There's no reason to trade him until you have that luxury. So hold Tom Green and then see if you have extra trades and a luxury upgrade later on. See how he goes. Otherwise, no reason to trade him at the moment. But yeah, good on you for holding, because given Leon Cameron, who knows? But yeah. Luke Vella. Atkins into Hall or CJ into Doc Ridley or Stewart? Please help. I'd go Atkins into Hall. Oh, hang on. No, I'd go CJ. It depends if you want Hall or not, because Hall's going way up, whereas Doc Ridley, Stewart probably going to roughly hold or go up or down 10k, I think. So Atkins, I would go Atkins to Hall this week and then reassess CJ next week. CJ to Whitfield next week. That's my preference. Out of Doherty, Ridley and Stewart, I'd probably go Ridley based on price. Do you reckon Shea Bolton will be back next week? I think he's back, yep. And then Waitman or Madden, Waitman, NJD. G'day George, thoughts on grabbing Lockie Whitfield after his bye? Yes. This guy's name is DeGoey. Hey mate, do I trade Jordan and Scott to Walsh and Waitman, or Hunter Clark and Scott to McRae and Waitman? Jordan Scott to Walsh and Waitman, or Hunter Clark and Scott to McRae and Waitman? Oh, that's a tough one. I think Hunter Clark should easily outscore Jordan, you would think, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think, let me check McRae's break even. I think you probably want to if you have the luxury of getting rid of both, you'd probably do. McRae's break even's 106. It's not too bad. I think probably Walsh and Waitman. Then you have a bit of extra money in the bank, and then you flip Hunter Clark in his last buy. So yep. Thoughts on Took Miller from Benjamin Gray? I think it's fine, but I haven't looked into it too much. DR. G'day George. G'day DR. Still a wonderful ranking. Looking forward to your future moves, mate. Wondering what your thoughts are around keeping Laird at M8 for the remainder of the season. Obviously, team dependent, but with Brayshaw already in the mids, can we afford to run both of the big dogs if available? Still scratching my head on this one. Cheers, mate. Looking forward to catching up on the weekend. So yeah, I was supposed to go to Melbourne this week. Fortunately, it's looking unlikely because of the corona bloody outbreak. I was going to see Dion Spill, so I was so excited for that. Fingers crossed it's something it happens, but it's looking unlikely. So the question, is Laird at M8 okay? I think it's okay because we have some good defenders. So like, you know, Ridley's there, Whitfield's there. Because if your defense was full and then you'd bring in Whitfield, it's almost like Whitfield's your M8. And Whitfield's actually would be a fine M8, I think, to be honest. So I think it's fine. Look, obviously, you want like a big dog mid, like as many good ones as you can, but it really depends on your cash gen. So look, if it means Whitfield at D6, then yes. Otherwise, you probably want a midfielder. But yeah, I think the 500k defenders are probably better, bar Petrarca, than the 500k midfielders, and Petrarca's a bit more in price anyway. So that's my thinking behind that. So I think it's okay. It's not the worst, but I'd want Whitfield at D6. Sorry. Carl Meany, strong moral compass on you, George. Thanks. It's hurt my team though. Sorko will never grace my squad. Fails a character test and minimum height requirement. Fair enough. I remember I didn't pick Dane Swan when I was playing Dream Team like 2008 or something. And just because he had tattoos, I didn't like that. It's really stupid, but I was super young. I think it would have been first year high school, I think. So you're really silly, but that's fine. Joey D pulling his finger twirl out against the Lions was also a bit over the top, even though I don't own him. Good video. Thanks, mate. Yeah, super frustrating watching Danaher dominate every week. Gossafer, what do we do with Guthrie? Hold. Shut up, George. You're still in front of 166,000 of us. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's just, again, I said it in this video, I just like perspective as a person. Should I go GF to Whitfield? Yes. And do not do a second trade. That's fine. I guess if you want to go like somebody to Waitman, like a Scott or McNeil or something, you could do that. I could do that, but otherwise that's fine. Is Took Miller a good option for him to go? I'm not sure. I think I've answered this a few times as the rain starts to hammer down. Yeah, I'm not really sure on Took Miller. I think it's a fine option with a great buy. I'd almost go Miller over Tom Mitchell, to be honest, but it's a bit more money, so I think it's fine. He's a high ceiling. He could go 115 plus. I know his dream team is absolutely bananas, I think. I think he's like top 3 mid for dream team. So yeah. Anyway, that's the video. Hopefully that wasn't too long. How long? 40 minutes. That's okay. Thanks for watching. And yeah, if you want to leave a question, leave it in the weekly videos. And I'll get to it next week. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.